For years he searched for someone up to the task. He tried training programs, promoted leaders, and brought in outside experts. All failed. The company, once solid, began to slowly crumble. Already weary, almost ready to give up, he looked around one last time. And then, where it was least expected, something happened. Hello, my friends. I am Linda, and this is the Linda's Stories channel. I hope you enjoy this story. Belmonte and Sons was an imposing presence in the industrial district. From its humble beginnings as a small mechanical workshop, it had grown to become a corporate colossus, respected by many and envied by even more. Its modern glass and steel buildings reflected the afternoon sun, casting a long shadow over the cars that filled the parking lot. Arthur Belmonte, at 75 years old, watched from his office window on the top floor. There was something in his eyes, a fatigue that went beyond the physical, an invisible weight that bowed his shoulders. The wrinkles on his face told not just the story of time, but also of battles fought, sleepless nights, difficult decisions. "Sir, the documents you requested," said his assistant, placing a folder on the table. Arthur nodded without taking his eyes off the window. "Thank you, Martha. Please tell Mario that I need to see him." When Mario Ribeiro entered the office, Arthur finally stepped away from the window. The two men exchanged looks with the familiarity of those who shared more than just work stories. They shared a life. "How's the plan going?" Mario asked, sitting down in a worn leather armchair. Arthur sighed, opening the folder. "I'm tired of disappointments. I thought that among so many talented employees, I would find someone with enough integrity to inherit what we have built." Mario smiled sadly. "You are looking for a unicorn, my friend. Someone who knows how to navigate the business world but keeps a clean soul." "Perhaps." Arthur ran his hand through his white hair. "I have one more test prepared for the financial department. If I don't find anyone, I'll sell to that group of investors." Mario felt a tightness in his chest. The company he had helped build, in the hands of strangers who would only see numbers where they saw history. "Give me more time," Mario pleaded. "I have my eye on someone." On the third floor of Building B, the atmosphere was completely different. The contract analysis team lived under constant pressure. Spreadsheets, charts, and reports filled the computer screens, while the clock on the wall mercilessly marked each minute. Christine Mendez, 26 years old, adjusted her glasses on her nose as she analysed the numbers before her. Having graduated only 2 years ago, she had been with the company for 8 months. Her colleagues considered her reserved, perhaps even a little shy, but no one questioned her dedication or competence. "Everyone, emergency meeting in room 302, announced Richard, the department manager. His usually confident face seemed tense. In the meeting room, the atmosphere was heavy. Richard was accompanied by 2 directors and Alexa Stone, a senior analyst who enjoyed Richard's special protection. Everyone knew the two maintained a discreet but real relationship. "We lost the Horizonte contract," Richard announced. "An analysis error cost the company $3 million. The silence that followed was broken by Alexa, who quickly pointed at Lucas, a young analyst. It was Lucas who checked the final numbers. He must have made some mistake. Lucas paled. But I didn't even touch that contract. Alexa, you know that it was you who... I checked all the data you sent, Alexa interrupted. If there was any mistake, it came from your initial work. Christine watched the scene, feeling her stomach churn. She had worked alongside Lucas that week. She knew he hadn't been involved in the Horizont project. It was Alexa who had been responsible for all the analysis. The directors were murmuring among themselves, clearly furious. Richard looked at Lucas with a mixture of disdain and relief, someone to blame who wasn't his protégé. "Lucas," said one of the directors, "we are very disappointed. An error of this magnitude is unacceptable." "But I didn't..." Lucas began to protest, his voice trembling. Christine felt her heart race. She saw the desperate look in Lucas's eyes, a single father of a 5-year-old boy. She saw his trembling hands, the sweat on his forehead. She thought of her own overdue rent, the student loan installments she would still be paying for years. "Wait," Christine stood up. The sound of her own voice surprised her. Lucas had no part in that contract. The entire room turned to her. Ricardo narrowed his eyes. "Christine, you're not in a position to—" "I have the system access records," she continued, trying to keep her voice steady. "Lucas worked with me on another project all last week. It was Alexa who conducted the Horizonte analysis on her own." "This is ridiculous," Alexa retorted, her face flushed. "You're trying to sabotage me out of jealousy." "I am not trying to harm anyone." Christine took a deep breath. "I just can't stay silent while someone is being unjustly blamed. If they're going to fire Lucas for something he didn't do, then I'd rather be let go as well. I don't want to work where the truth is worth less than appearances." The silence that followed was deafening. Richard looked as if he was about to explode. The directors exchanged puzzled glances. "This is insubordination," Richard finally said. "You are questioning the hierarchy of this company." "I am standing up for justice," Christine replied, although her voice was trembling now. "It's not fair to destroy someone's career to protect someone else." 3 hours later, Christine was clearing out her desk, placing her belongings in a cardboard box. The resignation letter was folded in her pocket. Lucas had been spared, but her boldness had cost her job. "I'm sorry," Lucas said, standing beside her. "You didn't have to do this." Christine forced a smile. "Yes, I did need to. How would I be able to look at myself in the mirror knowing I stayed silent?" She went down to the ground floor with the box in her arms, her head held high despite the restrained tears. At the reception, some people looked discreetly, already aware of what had happened. When she was almost at the main door, she felt a hand on her arm. She turned and saw an elderly man with grey hair, wearing the maintenance staff uniform. "Miss," he said in a low voice, "before you go, I would like you to read this." He handed her a small envelope. "What is this?" Christine asked, confused. "Just read it when you're home," he replied with a gentle smile. "Some truths need the right moment." Intrigued, Christine put the envelope in her purse and stepped out into the sunny afternoon, unaware that she had just embarked on a journey that would completely change her life. 3 days passed. Christine sent out resumes, made phone calls, and filled out job applications on websites. Her small apartment, which once felt cozy, now suffocated her with the weight of uncertainty. On the evening of the 3rd day, while she was emptying her purse in search of her keys, her fingers touched the envelope she had received. She had completely forgotten about it. Sitting at the kitchen table, she carefully opened the envelope. Inside, there was a yellowed piece of paper with elegant and firm handwriting. The true wealth of a company lies not in its vaults, but in the character of those who build it every day. Call this number when you're ready for a conversation that may change your destiny. AB. Below, a phone number. Christine felt a shiver. AB. Arthur Belmonte, the legendary founder who rarely appeared at the company. Why would he be interested in a recently terminated junior analyst? Her first instinct was to think it was a cruel joke. Perhaps Ricardo or someone else trying to ridicule her even further. But there was something about the handwriting, the aged paper, the look from that maintenance gentleman. The next morning, gathering all her courage, she called. A female voice answered. "Mr. Belmonte's office," Christine stammered. "I received a note to call this number. My name is Christine Mendez." There was a pause. "1 moment, please." Seconds later, a deep and serene male voice came from the other side. "Miss Mendez, finally, can we meet today at 3 in the afternoon, at Antonio's Cafe near the Central Square?" The cafe was almost empty at that hour. Christine arrived early, choosing a discreet table at the back. She wore her best interview outfit, a navy blazer over a white blouse, the only formal piece she owned. At exactly 3 o'clock, the door opened. Arthur Belmonte looked nothing like his corporate photos. He wore cotton pants and a simple shirt, and his face had a calm, almost amused expression. "Christine," he extended his hand, sitting down in front of her. "Thank you for coming." A waiter approached, and Arthur ordered 2 coffees. "I'm curious," he said when they were alone again. "What do you think you're doing here?" Christine hesitated. "Honestly, I have no idea. I thought it might be a job opportunity, or maybe, I don't know." Arthur smiled. "I'm going to tell you a story, Christine. 3 years ago I realized something was wrong in the company I had built with so much sacrifice. Entire departments involved in schemes, bribes, extra commissions pocketed by corrupt leaders. I was devastated." He paused when the waiter brought the coffees, thanking him with a nod. "I fired many terminated contracts, but something inside me broke. I'm old, Christine, tired, and I need to pass the torch." "And what does that have to do with me?" she asked, increasingly confused. "I decided to look for someone worthy, someone with truth in their eyes. Over the past few months I created ethical situations, dilemmas, small tests. Everyone failed in some way." Arthur took a sip of coffee. "Until, without me planning it, you stood up in a room full of powerful people and defended the truth, even knowing you would lose your job." Christine felt her face warm up. Anyone would have done the same. "No, Christine, that's the point. No one else did." Arthur opened his briefcase and took out a document. "I'm offering you 51% of Belmonte and Sons." Christine almost choked on her coffee. "What? That's absurd! I don't know anything about managing a company of this size." "You know the most important thing, to tell right from wrong, even when it costs a lot," Arthur smiled. "The rest, you'll learn. I'll be around. And there's someone else who can help you." The door of the cafe opened again, and the gentleman who had handed over the note walked in. Now, without the maintenance uniform, he was wearing dress pants and a neatly pressed shirt. "This is Mario Ribeiro," Arthur introduced. "My childhood friend and one of Belmonte's first employees. He could have been a director, vice president, whatever he wanted, but he preferred to work behind the scenes, observing, helping, and looking for someone like you." Mario smiled, taking a seat next to them. "You remind me of my daughter," he said. "She would be your age now. The same stubbornness, the same dignity." Christine looked at the 2 men, still in disbelief. "Why me? Why not someone with more experience, more knowledge?" "Because character isn't taught in an MBA," Arthur replied. "Technical knowledge you can acquire. Integrity, you either have it or you don't." In the months that followed, Christine faced a steep learning curve. She studied all night long, attended exhausting meetings, faced skeptical and sometimes hostile looks. There were days when she wanted to give up, nights when she cried into her pillow, doubting her ability, moments when the pressure seemed unbearable. One afternoon, after a particularly difficult meeting with the board, she took refuge in her office, trying to hold back tears of frustration. A gentle knock on the door. It was Mario. "Do you remember the day you stood up for that young man?" he asked, sitting across from her. "What did you feel at that moment?" Christine reflected. "Fear. A lot of anger, too. But mostly, certainty. Certainty that I was doing the right thing, even if it cost me my job." Mario smiled. "Keep that certainty. The rest will follow." Gradually, she earned respect. She implemented a new code of ethics. She reopened doors for talented employees who had been unjustly removed. She cleared away the last remnants of the old corruption. Lucas, the analyst she had defended, became one of her most loyal collaborators. Ricardo and Adriana were invited to leave. Gradually, Belmonte and Sons returned to being what Arthur had always dreamed of, a company not only profitable, but also with integrity. A year after taking command, Christine invited Arthur and Mario for a coffee at the same place where it all began. "How did you know I wouldn't disappoint you?" she asked. Arthur exchanged a knowing look with Mario. "We didn't know. We just believe that integrity, when genuine, is not corrupted by power." Mario nodded, his eyes shining with pride. "Some are born heirs by blood, others by spirit. Christine smiled, thinking about her journey. From junior analyst to CEO, from almost unemployed to owner. But above all, from someone who simply did what was right, without imagining that this act of courage would completely transform her destiny. The next morning, she arrived early at the company. In the lobby, she found Mario, who continued to work as always, now officially as a special consultant to the presidency. "Good morning, boss," he joked, with that gentle smile that had become so familiar. "Good morning, Mario," she replied, returning the smile. "Or should I say, guardian of Belmonte's integrity?" Together, they went up for another day of work. The company wasn't perfect, none are. But now there was soul in its walls, and the certainty that sometimes true power is not in the hands of the most experienced or the most astute, but those who choose to do the right thing, even when no one is watching. Because character is not a resume. And the courage to stand up for the truth, even when it hurts, not only preserves dignity, sometimes it transforms destinies. If you enjoyed the story, please leave a comment with a rating from 1 to 5 to show how much you liked it. Also, watch the video that is now appearing on your screen. See you soon.